Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, time for the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week, Venom #1. Venom #1 is the pick of the week. This book was amazing. It was awesome. I am a huge fan of Eddie Brock Venom, and ever since Eddie Brock came back as Venom, I've been very excited. Though I do believe that we've gotten some subpar Venom books. This is what I have been waiting for. This is one of the best Venom #1s ever. It gives out a lot of new information about the symbiote, about the history of the symbiote, and just about the symbiote's identity itself. It really is a little bit of a game changer. It sets some really exciting things up to come. Donny Cates has stated, the writer, he has stated that there's a long-term plan for him on Venom here. He wants to do this book for a good long while. This is a long-term type thing, but it kicks off really fast with a lot of information, a lot of excitement, a lot of action, and a great ending that makes you really, really intrigued to come back for issue 2 next month. Seriously, Donny Cates took Marvel by storm with his recent work on Thanos and Doctor Strange. Venom is no exception. This is really, really cool character work into Eddie Brock, talking about mental illness, anxiety, dealing with the darkness inside of you. Lots of cool stuff like that. The dialogue between the symbiote and Eddie, sometimes in Venom books, it comes across as corny and cheesy to me. And this one, it's very fluid, it's organic, it works, it feels right, and it's really, really cool and on the nose, and I like it a lot. Ryan Stegman is turning in the artwork of his career with this issue. It's highly detailed, it's really, really good. It's like Todd McFarlane at his height, but good, but really, really good. I love it. Frank Martin's colors are a little muted. That kind of bothered me at first. When I first read this book, it was in black and white. It blew me away. Reading it in color, the colors are gorgeous and I love the choices, but there's something, at least on mine, it kind of looks a little faded, but look at that artwork there. The colors are great. They just don't pop enough for me. I guess it's kind of this tone that they're trying to capture, or it's a printing error. I'm not sure, because some of my dialogue is a little faded as well in my comic book. But I do love the choices of the coloring and the layering of it and all the stuff inside of it. This book is awesome. It's my pick of the week. Venom, seriously, it's awesome. Venom's become a must-read with issue #1 from Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, and company. Also from Marvel, we got The Hunt for Wolverine continuing on Adamantium Agenda #1. The Hunt for Wolverine is going to be this kind of obnoxious 4-part miniseries. There are going to be 4 of them, 4-part miniseries. They all have their own style. They all have their own corner of the Marvel Universe. Last week was Weapon Lost. I was very unimpressed with that one. I'm impressed by Adamantium Agenda. This one was cool. Weapon Lost dealt with the street level type stuff like Daredevil and Misty Knight. This deals with the New Avengers team. So if you're a fan of Bendis' New Avengers run, this is awesome. It's got Iron Man, it's got Jessica Jones, it's got Luke Cage, it's got Spider-Man. It's got great artwork by R.B. Silva, by the way, and the script is written by Tom Taylor. Does a fantastic job. I really did like it. A nice, tight script, nice flow to it, really good artwork that's detailed, but exactly what it needs to be. It tells a little bit of an untold chapter in the New Avengers history and how exactly it all gets wound up. The problem for me with these Hunt for Wolverine books is that I think that ultimately they're all going to result to nothing. I don't think that, I just wish Wolverine would come back already. But this was actually a really cool book. Really cool book by Tom Taylor. RB, it is RB, right? Yeah, R.B. Silva, fantastic work. I really did like that book. Also from Marvel, we have Exiles #3 from writer Saladin Ahmed. I've really been enjoying this book. I really also want to highlight Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez on the artwork, the penciler and the inker respectively, and Chris O'Halloran on the coloring. I love Chris O'Halloran's work. He's really been impressing me on books like Generation Gone, Ice Cream Man, now on Exiles. Love the coloring, love the art, love the story, love the dialogue. It's fun, but it's also this giant epic multiversal, like super crazy crisis type story, but it's got great dialogue, really nuanced moments as well, character-driven moments, and a lot of humor in there as well, just at the right times. If you like the MCU and you like their flow and their energy, I think it's captured in the Exiles. Plus, it's just a really cool way to like look at other versions of the characters. You got Valkyrie from Thor Ragnarok basically in here. You got this little kitty cartoon version of Wolverine. You got a world that they could visit in here that's Peggy Carter is Captain America, and Bucky is a woman, and her name is Becky. And it's really intriguing. I love this alternate universe type stuff. I love these big epic stories with human consequences, human emotion, and human drama. Love that stuff. Or should I say mutant drama, right? Absolutely. Exiles, to me, 3 issues in, I'm digging it. I'm loving it. Old Man Logan, speaking of the X-Men books, number 39 is here. I've been loving this book. I thought Jeff Lemire did a great job on this book, but Ed Brisson's been doing an even better job, I think. Jeff Lemire did a really intense character study on Wolverine, and Ed Brisson's giving us some really solid Wolverine tales that are ultimately hitting maybe what I believe might be the end of Old Man Logan. His healing factor has stopped working. His eye won't heal back right. He's lost one of his hands. Now he's got bone claws after it grew back. Old Man Logan has gone through the ringer in recent issues, and Ed Brisson's not afraid to actually make that known and make it part of the story. Ibrahim Robertson's art is fantastic. I really like it. It's tight. It's good. Carlos Lopez on the coloring is fantastic. This has got a really, really good story too about Goob. Is that his name? Goob, the X-Man who you can see right through him. Translucent skin. You can see his skeleton, his muscles, and his organs and all that stuff. Really touching story there. Really cool Wolverine moments, and it kind of takes this whole what's going on with Old Man Logan's healing factor a step forward with a little bit of exposition. But I've been loving Old Man Logan so much. New Mutants, Dead Souls, number 3 is here with yet another Joy Division title from Safety to Wear. I like this story. I like it so much. It's not the greatest thing in the world. The artwork feels very rushed at times, but I really like Matthew Rosenberg's script. I like his handling of the characters. I like the turn here at the end of the 3rd chapter where we really kind of understand what fully is starting to go on in this. I love the Joy Division references. The artwork in some parts, it's very inconsistent. Some parts it feels sloppy and rushed, things like that, but in other parts it's really clean, dynamic, and exactly the right amount of detail and explosiveness that it needs. In one scene in particular, but I'm not going to show you that scene because it's kind of a spoiler, but this book's been all right. If you're a New Mutants fan, I think you're really going to like it. I've never really been the biggest New Mutants fan, so I'm kind of lost about some of the things in here, but I always have kind of like Strong Guy, so that's cool too. But I do like it. It's got some great dialogue. It's got some great character moments in there. I'm liking it, but it's not the greatest. Star Wars Darth Vader is here. Number 16. I think this is Charles Soule's best comic book work ever. This Darth Vader series has been fun. Seriously, since Marvel has gotten the Star Wars books back, the Vader series has been solid nonstop. Charles Soule's is no exception. This book is great. Now the Mon Calamari are being invaded by the Empire. It's the story of how all that goes down. There's other Jedi in there. There's lots of interesting bits in between the movies and in between the plot lines, not plot holes, plot lines of the Star Wars saga that they really fit perfectly well. It's really interesting. I like it. If you like the new expanded universe, definitely check it out. But if you just like Darth Vader being awesome and just being a badass Darth Vader, read this book. It's really, really good. It's also got great coloring, great artwork. Carmen Coley, Orlandini, working fantastic over there. Let's jump to DC because I know you want me to get to this book. No Justice is here. Justice League. It's a 4-issue series. Going to run weekly throughout the rest of the month. Set up what Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, and Joshua Williamson are going to be doing in their upcoming Justice League books this summer. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Francis Manapul's artwork, first of all, is glorious. It's splendid. It's amazing. The coloring, the epicness, the explosiveness of it. It feels big. It feels huge, but it's clean. But it's got this like grit to it as well. I love Manapul's artwork, but it is explosive when it needs to be, and it's subtle and funny when it needs to be. The script is great. The coloring on this book, by the way, is just gorgeous. It is so good. Did he color it himself? Because doesn't he usually do that? But it's fantastic. Hi-Fi does the colors. Brilliant colors on this book. The artwork is seriously explosively awesome. Look at that awesome cover too. So it's like a bunch of weird teams that are put together, thrown together because Brainiac's like, yo, at the end of Metal, you broke the source wall. You opened up the universe to a giant, just terrible, terrible things. One of the things, like a line of dialogue in this issue says it's now like a leaking raft in a toxic lake. And that's kind of what's happened now that the source wall is open. So there's giant celestial type beings. They're very reminiscent of Marvel's The Celestials, but I do like the story. It's epic in scope. It's absurd. If you liked Metal, I think you're going to like this book. Why all these different members? Brainiac, his plan, why it's all there, and the ending of this book, I like it. I like it a lot. The character interaction is perfect. The setup is cool. The hook at the end, like the cliffhanger at the end is like, what? Now, these big, what do they call them? The Omega Titans. These dudes are very much celestial type, right? And their overall plot's a little Earth X at times, but not overly derivative or anything like that. But just big, epic sci-fi Kirby type concepts, and I really like it. I love the story, but I love the artwork. It just drips and oozes off the page with cosmic, epic comic book greatness, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Finally enjoying some Justice League books. Batman White Knight reaches its conclusion this week with issue number 8. Sean Murphy has been doing such a fantastic job on this book. Great story, great dialogue, great pacing, great action, great just artwork, great line work, great graphics, great composition. Everything about this book has been great. It's been explosive, it's been fun, and since it's kicked into Act 3, it's been non-stop. It's just in your face, dun, 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 kind of like that feel of Metal, but without quite the absurdity, but just enough absurdity to be probably one of the greatest Joker and Harley stories I have ever read. Seriously, this entire book, I have enjoyed the character of Harley Quinn, which is a rarity for me, because even her in this No Justice book, at times I was like, whatever, but it was okay. But this, some really good character work on Harley Quinn. Sean Murphy's been doing a great job. Matt Hollingsworth's colors are brilliant. They're muted just the right amount, bringing such a great, gritty, dark, foreboding, and just hanging on you atmosphere to Gotham. It's a great Elseworlds type tale. Really fun. I hope there's more. I'm looking forward to it, but a very satisfying conclusion to White Knight for me. Detective Comics 980 is here, bringing us 20 issues away from Detective Comics 1000. Remember all that Action Comics 1000 hoopla? You don't think we're going to get that for Detective Comics? You know we will, but I've been loving what James Tynion IV has been doing with this book. Such a respect for the Bat family. If you like the Batman books in the 90s, in the early 2000s, if you like those characters like Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown, you're going to love this book. It's amazing. He's wrapping up his run right now in epic fashion. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it involves Tim Drake. It involves OMAC. It involves Batwoman. It's epic. It's huge, and it's a great culmination of what Tynion's been doing with this book and with these characters. Fantastic work. I love it so much. A very cool issue that if you are on the lookout for any kind of old school pre-New 52 DC stuff leaking back into reality, pay attention to some stuff in that book. Some stuff is going on. Speaking of that pre-New 52 stuff leaking into the DCU, how about Flash number 46 out this week? Awesome cover, by the way. This issue really does spotlight Reverse Flash. Lots of crazy, kooky Reverse Flash has been going on right now. Stuff has been going on right now in Joshua Williamson's Flash, but it's been really cool, and this issue kind of spotlights it, explains a lot of it, and sets up something that I think is really nifty and really cool, and has me very excited for the upcoming Flash War. This spotlights a lot of Wally West as well, and some of the differences between the New 52 or post-DC Rebirth version and the pre-New 52 stuff kind of leaking back in. Lots of cool stuff here. I like it. Scott Collins, by the way, doing the artwork. A nice little throwback to some of those Jeff Johns Flash days. This feels great. It kind of feels like those days. Reverse Flash, Flash War, Wally West, DCU, pre-New 52 continuity kind of leaking back in. Check it out. It's fun. New Age of Heroes continues rolling through. Sideways number 4 is here. Kenneth Rockefort's actually back on the artwork. Unfortunately, didn't really like this one that much. It didn't grab me. It just didn't hook me in like the previous 3 issues did. This one kind of felt boring, kind of like a retread, kind of like a slowing down. Even though the artwork is fine and still some of Rockefort's best work in his career, the characterization was a little off to me. It just didn't grab me in like the previous 3 issues. And nothing that's going to stop me from reading this book, because so far I've been liking the majority of these New Age of Heroes. But Immortal Men number 1 was kind of a dud, I thought. Number 2 is here. Jim Lee's not even on this book, so we got Ryan Benjamin doing the artwork, and it's still kind of Lee-esque, obviously that Lee DC house style type thing, but it is starting to have its own voice aside from the Lee book. But I just found the first issue being very inconsistent in the artwork. It's not Tynion's best work as far as I'm concerned, as far as dialogue goes, because there's a lot of exposition and it feels like a lot of exposition, but there is some interesting concepts, some really cool characters that get fully on introduced here, and the ideas behind them are really nifty, and I like some of their powers, and I really like the look at some of these Immortal Men characters, but we're still just kind of getting the very beginning of what is actually going on in this book. But it's still intriguing in a concept, but it's not as good as I was wanting it to be. That's what I'm going to say. Let's jump over to DC's Young Animal, because Eternity Girl is back again with issue number 3. Sometimes I try to say something and I just lose it and I just don't even know. But Eternity Girl number 3 was amazing. It was awesome. It's a trip. My favorite stuff about Young Animal, especially Doom Patrol, is the wildness of it, the zaniness of it, the challenge of it. This book is challenging in all the right ways. It's a real great take on just like, it's just so crazy. It's a little meta. It's very Kirby influenced. It's wacky, it's weird, but it's serious, and it's got this really deep tone to it because it's dealing with like mental health, right? And it's dealing with suicide and things like that, and like these really serious themes in a very oddball, quirky, DC Young Animal, Kirby-esque type way, and I love it. I just love those two styles that shouldn't fit together, but they do oh so well, because Magdalene Visaggio killing it on the scripts and the ideas on this one. Sonny Liu's artwork is perfect for this book. It is crazy, cool stuff, beautifully Kirby influenced, real fun, crazy cool ideas, serious themes mixed with comic book Kirby-esqueness. Awesome. I'm loving Eternity Girl. From the Wildstorm books, we got Michael Cray. I almost said Wild Cray. Michael Cray is a little Wild Cray. Michael Cray number 7 is here. Basically, the gist of this story is that Michael Cray is going through different versions of the DC Universe characters. This one's Constantine. It's a cool little take on Constantine. It's a little oversimplification of magic a little bit to me, but not so much. And then there's a neat way that he uses. Basically, what Constantine's doing is he uses magic to build machines to get things to work. So he blends magic and science. It's interesting. That part is interesting. The other part of how he gets his powers, I found a little just too simple. A little, at least for me. The artwork is growing on me again still. I do like it. I like the pacing. I like the dialogue. I like some of the ideas. It just doesn't feel like it lives up to the Wildstorm, the main book in this universe. And I'd like to see more in this universe kind of expand out. But I was really hoping for more of, let's get into Michael Cray. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about his world. Let's build up more of this Wildstorm world. And we're just kind of getting, you know, their version of the evil B-list Justice League. But I don't know. I mean, it still has some cool ideas. It's just not hitting as much as I wanted it to. Not as much as the Wildstorm does to me, which to me is one of the best comic books out on the market right now. They're killing it on that book, but some really cool ideas going on in Michael Cray, and I'm really anxious to see it once all 12 issues are complete and read through it all at once. Barrier number 2 is here. This one is from Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin. This has brilliant, beautiful artwork. As a warning, though, it is panoramic, but look at that gorgeous, cool, psychedelic, crazy artwork. It's a sci-fi story. It's about this dude from Mexico, I believe, and a woman from the southern United States, and they're kind of thrown together into the middle of an alien abduction, right? So number 1 was the free comic book day issue. This was a digital series, right, on Private Eye. Is that what it is? No, Private Eye is the name of the book. What is the name of the thing? It's a company. Panel Syndicate, right? So they have worked before on Private Eye. Barrier has already come out digitally, I believe, but now it's going to come out weekly throughout the month. Issue 1, there's a special edition because it's a little bit longer than a typical comic, but the free comic book day wasn't. So they did re-release issue number 1 this week along with issue number 2 in the longer format. But if you picked up Barrier number 1 for free comic book day and you enjoyed it, issue 2 is out this week, 3 will be next week. It's cool. It continues on the same thing. It doesn't really get too deep into the story, but the artwork is absolutely beautiful. The panoramicness of it, like the way they use the scope and turning the panels on the side like that, it really does work for the format. I think it would probably work better digitally because it's just an odd book to read like that. Absolutely. From Image Comics, we have Oblivion Song number 3 from Robert Kirkman, creator of The Walking Dead. I'm loving this book. I'm loving it so much. The artwork by Lorenzo De Felici is fantastic. It's awesome. It's absurd. It's crazy. It's a truly original idea from Robert Kirkman that doesn't just feel like people talking at each other. I really like it. Lots of action, lots of cool concepts, good characterization, great drama. I'm liking it a lot. This book, 3 issues in, I'm kind of sold on it. Isola is here, or Isola, whatever it is. Number 2 is out this week. There's also a second print of number 1 in case you missed it. Number 1 made the pick of the week. Number 2 is just as good. It's really good. The artwork by Carl Kerschel and Mosaic is gorgeous. It is just the most beautiful thing. Like this and No Justice are just the most beautiful things to look at. Absolutely gorgeous. This story is becoming a lot more clear by issue 2. Basically a journey of this woman who's trying to protect her queen. Her queen, by some evil forces, has been turned into this crazy, cool-looking tiger, and she's kind of injured or not feeling well, and this woman is having to take her across dangerous territory into a better world called Isola, but it's not working out right. So it's a typical kind of fantasy type thing, but the artwork is gorgeous. The dialogue is tight. I really like it. I love this book. It's fantastic. Gotta read it. Gotta read it. Analog number 2 is here from Gary Duggan and Image Comics with artwork by somebody O'Sullivan. That's right. I couldn't remember because they don't show me the first name. Somebody O'Sullivan. But it's pretty good. I like the artwork. So this is basically about a world where this dude has killed the internet. They released all the information there, and this is done. And now what people do is it's really rare to get analog information, like actual like hard copies of things. So he's this dude that kind of is a go-between. He's a courier to get information, hard copies of information from one place to the next. So it's kind of like something like that, but a neat little twist gets added into here where the government starts getting involved. I like it. I like the hook. I like the dialogue. The artwork was a little more shaky in issue 2 for me than it was in issue 1, but I still got hooked in by the story, by the dialogue. The characters haven't really grabbed me yet. So I'm waiting for some really good, intense characterization to come, but I'm liking the plot, I'm liking the dialogue, I'm liking the flow of the story. Speaking of liking the plot and the flow of the story, Port of Earth returns for the first part of its second arc with issue number 5. This book's been fun. It's basically about a world where aliens have come and they know how to use water as fuel. So they need to use Earth as a port so they can stop in and refuel. So we work out a deal with them for their technology and for them to come in here. And this is about all the hostilities and conspiracies that grow out of that. It's been really, really fun. It's a nice, cool sci-fi action thing with good dialogue, some decent characterization, a really nice flow to the plot, and I just love it. I'm hooked on it just by plot alone. Another book I'm absolutely just hooked on and adore is Highest House. Highest House from IDW Comics, from Mike Carey, and art by Peter Gross. And by the way, Peter Gross also does the lettering, and the lettering on this book is some of the best lettering in comic books today. It really helps with the flow of the story. It is fantastic. Fabian Alquier does the coloring. Look at that artwork. It's a great format, magazine size, but it works. The story feels epic. It feels huge. It's a fantasy story, but it's subtle. It's nice characterizations, great dialogue, amazing, brilliant artwork, and sequential storytelling. I cannot sing the praises of Highest House enough. This book is a treat. It is truly something special. I look forward to reading it every single month, even though it takes me a little bit longer to read each issue because there's a lot to it, but lots of twists and turns, magic, fun, a little bit of sorcery in there. I'm loving it so much. That's what I read this week, guys. What did you read? Let me know in the comments down below and what you thought about it. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and blogs and a whole lot more. We have started doing live streams. There may be one this Sunday night, so be on the lookout for that. Also, the weekly pop culture wrap-up. We got podcasts, all that stuff, and more. And Movie Monday will make its triumphant return in June. Thank you guys for your support. I also want to point out the PCP Army is live and active on Facebook. So go on Facebook, go to PCP Army, join the group, get in there with the fans, with us, the crew. It's so fun. We love chatting and interacting with you guys there. Super fun so far. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.